Everyone. Today I'm finishing up my Michael Crichton summer series, 6 films directed or adapted from Michael Crichton novels directed by Michael Crichton. Today I'm going to focus on 1979's The Great Train Robbery. I read the novel as well, part of this omnibus Michael Crichton collection. And Crichton really surprised his readership. He had already become a best-selling novelist by 1975, which is the year the book was published, because he leaves behind the scientific, medical thrillers, conspiracies, for a historical recreation of a famous train robbery in 1855. It's at the time of the Crimean War. So we have a connection here to modern times, and it was a disastrous war, the French and the British. It was financed, the financing came through gold shipments that went from London by train to Folkestone, I believe it was, to finance the war. So there had never been a robbery from a moving train before. There was a bit of complacency, but nevertheless, they used the most high-tech safes, and it was well guarded at the stops. How could anybody steal this? It is impossible. The robbery took a year to plan. The basic element is to get the 4 keys, 2 keys in the office, a key each to the bank, the 2 heads of the bank that was moving the money by train. So we have this great historical recreation. We have this situation of what seems like an impossible robbery. A big budget, Dino De Laurentiis. We see some great, the costumes, loads of extras, sets recreated to Victorian standards. Beautiful cinematography by Jeffrey Unsworth. His second to last movie. He only made Tess the year after, and then he tragically passed away. The movie, Great Train Robbery, is dedicated to Jeffrey Unsworth. It's a great looking movie. There's sort of a basic trio of robbers. It takes them a year in the planning, and the planning is financed by a master criminal who is disguised as a member of the elite of society. He goes to the clubs, the London clubs. But he's financed by his previous robberies. But this is the big one. And then he has to hire somebody who is adept at making copies of keys. This is played by Donald Sutherland. And then there's Sean Connery's girlfriend, played by Lizzie Ann Downs. She's also a vital part of the planning stages and the various disguises. So we have a great trio of actors here to get us through this opening. It's a kind of a long opening where we see the ins and outs of the planning, how they get the keys. And then we get the train robbery, and this is a train robbery on a moving train, and it reminded me a little bit of Le Cercle Rouge, which is recently this year brought out in 4K by Criterion, which also has a very intricate and very fascinating plan of how to steal something off a moving train. But here, this is the early days of Scotland Yard, so Scotland Yard is sort of on their trail as well, but Connery has to constantly improvise. Over a year of planning, things change. How is he going to respond to this new element in the plot and in his very intricate plans? And then when we get to the train robbery, Sean Connery, according to all the material I could find on The Great Train Robbery, Sean Connery is doing his own stunts in this film. And I don't know how any actor, especially an actor of Sean Connery's stature, would be allowed to do this. He wanted to do it. He's insisted on doing it. there's a story that when they went to the premiere, Sean Connery and his wife went to the premiere, his wife became so angry with him. He said, how could you possibly have done these dangerous stunts? I mean, it really is incredible. It's worth seeing just to see the Connery go through the stunts. Now, maybe they used a double in some of these scenes, some of the shots, I don't know, but from what I could tell, Connery did all the stunts. And there's another great stunt. They had to hire somebody to break out of jail, and they hired a ballet dancer, and he actually climbs up the wall. And you look at him and I say, how can this guy be doing this? You don't see any net. He wasn't a stunt man. He was dubious of doing it, and then all of a sudden he just did it. So there's two really fantastic stunts, movie stunts, and of course in modern days you just use computer graphics, but Connery insisted on doing all these stunts himself. So the book itself, which is a great read, I mean, it is a terrific read, but it really delves into what London in Victorian times was like. Crichton really did his research. He read books on the criminal element and all the slang. The slang is just great in this film, and all the different names they give to the cops and to their various crimes and their various specialties in crime. Everybody has a specialty. And so it's educational, but it's fast moving. I read the first half in the morning. I finished it in the afternoon. I think I read it like that way back in 1975 as well. So if there's humor in the book, the humor is coming from all the unforeseen circumstances that come up. And you think, oh my God, they did all this planning and now it's all for naught. And then watching Connery try to figure out what to do next. And so Crichton wrote the novel, he wrote the screenplay, directed it, and he changes the basic elements of the story in the book is in the movie, but with a much more humorous, almost like jaunty tone to it. So it's not played like documentary style. The book, is giving us education. We do see all this historical recreation, which looks gorgeous. And like I say, this is Crichton's, I forget now how many movies, he directed a few before The Great Train Robbery in 1979. And I could see the evolution of his directing style. It really comes to the fore in Coma. And again here, I mean, he is a really good commercial film director. And I think as a novelist as well. So we have, as far as his Michael Crichton in the 1970s, what's my favorite? I don't know. I think I kind of lean towards Coma. Coma is just such a tight, taut, tense kind of thriller. But as far as a book goes, I think my favorite of the books of Crichton in the 1970s, at least the ones made into films, would be The Great Train Robbery. So this has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this Crichton summer. Maybe next, he did a lot of films in the 1980s, culminating in his association with Steven Spielberg and the blockbuster instincts of Spielberg, taking Crichton's great success, because he had terrific successes, or by the time, even before Jurassic Park. But I mean, it went into the megasphere, the franchise. This was, and the movies between Great Train Robbery and Jurassic Park, they're a little bit, they're kind of interesting too. So maybe, just maybe, next summer, if I'm still around doing YouTube, hopefully I'm around, I think I might do the Michael Crichton in the 1980s. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who listened. I do appreciate it. Comments are always welcome. Take care.